Okay, everybody, we've got Dr. Fuhrman back. It's been a while. We're so excited. I don't even know if we're going to do the best of Dr. Fuhrman for 2022. I think we have some questions for him. So, and he is more than willing to answer them. So start texting, tagging, telling everybody that Dr. Fuhrman is in the classroom. And I am going to start the record button because we're going to get as much of Dr. Fuhrman in as we possibly can. Okay, so today, I want you to just get ready because we are going to learn and grow together with Dr. Joel Fuhrman. So fasten your seatbelt, open your mind, and the best way to open your mind is to dance. Right, Dr. Fuhrman, you're going to give me a head bop today?
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning into the classroom for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. I know you guys have been saying, where has Dr. Fuhrman been? Well, it's been a long time coming. We are just so excited to get him back and get back into the routine. But between scheduling and busyness, those things do happen, but we're glad he's here today. And so my question to you is, have you been having your G-bombs? And if you haven't had them this morning, you will want to after the classroom. We are so grateful since 2015 to have Dr. Joel Fuhrman in the classroom every month. And he is a world-renowned New York Times bestselling author of just a wonderful teacher, a wonderful advocate for you to be able to reverse dis-ease by the way you eat and the way you act and the way you change your lifestyle, so much so that he started a retreat center called Eat to Live Retreat Center. And I am so grateful that Dr. Fuhrman is back, not only to tell us about his best must-haves for 2022, but we also have some questions. I have a very special friend that I am asking some questions for him, and as in the usual loving way that Dr. Fuhrman comes across, he says, sure, I'll answer those questions. So if you have some questions for Dr. Fuhrman, go ahead and write your questions down. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Joel Fuhrman is back to do just that. Welcome back to the classroom, Dr. Fuhrman.
Hi, Lily. Good to be here.
It's nice that you're here too. You know, you flashed me your guns. You've shown me your abs, but you will not dance in my classroom. What is up with that?
I don't know. I have some good music on my phone that's good that I ski to, bounce down the mountain, and dance to. What?
What?
I don't know if that.
The Lillian McDermott radio show theme is not in your top 20 of music you want to dance to?
Exactly. It's not my top 20 for sure.
It's got to
maybe it's the top. Maybe it's the bottom 20.
Well, I'm glad you're here nonetheless, and I'm glad to see your abs and whatever it is you want to show us today. But you know, I have some questions for you. As I mentioned to you, I have a good friend that I'm concerned that will become medicalized, and your expert opinion is so important. And so the first question, this person has been, I inherited him, and he's been in my life for a long time, and I've watched him for a long time ignore some of the things that we've shared. He's okay with what we do, but he does him and we do us, and that's okay. So he's recently had a medical scare, and a lot of people are dropping like flies around him. And so his first question is, can an abnormal 2-week heart study with frequent PVCs and 2 to 4 beats salvus, run wide complex tachycardia, and possible ventricular tachycardia be related to arterial blockage or not? What do you say?
Of course.
Okay.
It can
Anything
be
you would like
related
to
to
elaborate?
It's related to poor oxygenation and chronic inflammation, both. So heart disease can be exacerbated by the buildup of metabolic waste and pro-inflammatory substances in your body. And as you know, that the American diet, which causes people to become insulin resistant, overweight, and put fat around and put visceral fat around their arteries and put plaque and cholesterol and calcifications and damage their heart, also creates chronic inflammation. It suppresses immune system and leads to destruction of the nervous tissue and the electrical impulses to the heart as well.
Mhm.
So it's a constellation of various factors that were self-induced by living in America and eating the way other Americans eat. And this person made that choice to get sick. He made that choice to say, I want to eat whatever I want, whatever happens to me, it's going to happen to me. And now it happened, so he has to, he might have an opportunity to reverse it, but he can't have the opportunity to reverse it with moderate improvement in his diet. He has to make radical improvement, 100% Nutritarian, where everything that goes in his mouth counts, or he's not, and every day counts, and every hour counts. And he's got to, I don't know how much his overweight he is. You really don't get effective reversal of those type of severe heart problems unless a male gets their body fat pretty low. You don't get visceral fat out of your heart unless your total body fat's usually below 12% or certainly below 15% minimum. And he's probably, I'm just guessing, but he probably has his body fat around 30%. So he's probably got to lose a tremendous amount of weight, I don't know, but he has to get thinner than he thinks he has to get too. And combined with exercise to maintain, because the exercise can help the body reduce its body fat by because you maintain the muscle as you get the marbling out of the muscle. So the body almost has to be hungry for calories. He has to be moderate. He has to be calorically restricted, eating under his basal metabolic rate. In other words, the only way you can comfortably eat under your basal metabolic rate without obsessing about food is by eating a lot of nutrients, volume, and fiber. You got to eat a lot of high nutrient, low calorie food, like salads, cooked green vegetables, zucchini, artichokes, broccoli, eggplant, mushrooms, peppers. You have to eat enough volume of food that makes you feel satisfied, that's low enough in calories for him to accelerate the caloric loss, even in the first month with such a condition. Usually people like that who come into our retreat, males, we have them drop usually 25 pounds within the first, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks. Certainly they're trying to go for 25-pound weight loss in the first month, and they can do it if they're significantly overweight, but 20-pound minimum, because it's too dangerous it's too dangerous not to lose the weight once their heart is failing like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so there seems to be a belief that if your family history has coronary heart disease or heart problems or anything like that, that somehow that is what is driving the disease in the population. And I've said to this person and other people that what we inherit are the family recipes, the behaviors, the way we think. Let's talk about some of these thought processes that people feel that they're a victim of their DNA. Can you share a little bit about that?
That's typical the way addicts talk and act. When you're an addict, you always have an excuse for your behavior, and it gives them justification not to change their behavior. Mm-hmm. In 1900s, 1900 to 1920, let's say, only 4% of Americans died of heart attacks and strokes. Now it's the leading cause of death for adults in this country. It's never occurred in human history before. We've been on the planet for 70,000 years, and in the last 40 years, heart attack rates have skyrocketed from 4% to 40%.
Mhm.
Population is still the number one cause of death, and we're not living longer than ever before. We're actually decreased. And look what happened with COVID. The most overweight and unhealthy people died. The sicker you are, the higher risk of death. And did that induce people to change their diet and to lose weight? No, they gained even more weight.
Mhm.
They're the food environment, that we have a toxic food environment, and it's taken over people's, like an alien has invaded their brains. So they're so stupid they can't even think that they are the result of what they eat. And they blame it on their genetics, so they can keep going to eating unhealthy. They can keep overeating and eating the wrong foods. And by the way, if you're 30 pounds overweight, you did not eat 30 pounds of extra food.
Right.
If you're 30 pounds overweight, you ate about 100 pounds of extra. You ate way over the calories you require, because as you eat more calories than the body needs for its basal metabolic needs to maintain its lean tissue, your body it wants to be at a certain set point. It knows what the healthiest weight for you is. So as you eat excess calories, the body speeds up its metabolism to try to burn off the extra calories. It raises the body temperature. It actually raises thyroid function and raises the calories burned through breathing. It tries to burn off as many of those calories as it can, but it can't because you keep consuming so much. So you gain 30 pounds, you've eaten way above your caloric needs. People are so far away from their caloric needs because they're habituated to this chronic overeating, which they become food addicts, and they're thinking, oh, it's genetic, not that they're a food addict. They can double the amount of calories they needed. Instead of their basal metabolic requirements as measured would say a male might need 1,400 calories, 1,500 calories a day, and they're eating 3,000 calories a day, but it's genetic, and they're eating double the calories the body needs. So people are so far away from what you need to do to achieve good health, and they're looking for any kind of excuse to justify their behavior. And then people believe that you can be overweight and healthy, and there's no such thing as an overweight healthy person. If you're overweight, then you're sickly, and you have pathology, and you have inflammation, and you have insulin resistance, and you're going to build up high risk of cancer, heart disease, stroke, and dementia. It's just the facts. And
one leads to the other. One leads to the other. Yeah.
And our genes are the product of what we eat. What we eat creates our genes, and the epigenetic changes that occur to our genes enable us to remove toxins from the body and not be hurt by poisonous substances. Even natural foods contain poisons, and there's plenty of poisons in nature. Our body can deal with that, but it can only deal with that when we have a diet high in phytochemicals and antioxidants. When your diet is low in phytochemicals and antioxidants, then your body is open to exposure to toxic and harmful substances. And then your fat supply becomes a magnet for toxic waste product, and you become a waste dump. And then you think you can take out that waste by going into a sauna. You're not going to. You still maintain 50 pounds overweight. You can't. Or taking some cholestyramine or some charcoal is going to suck the toxins out of your fat supply. No way. You got to change the way you eat. If you're not willing to change the way you eat, and of course, I'm an advocate of people eating organic food, growing their own food, gardening, and eating healthy food, and eating lots of greens and lots of raw vegetables. And if they don't want to eat a salad and vegetable bean soups and cooked vegetables and raw, they don't want to eat a lot of these foods that we're talking about, you can't have good health. Genetics play a relatively small role, and scientists call it gene silencing, that when the body is well nourished with phytochemicals, the body can turn off any harmful or negative genes. It has the ability to recognize and shut down any genes that have a negative effect. And when you don't eat healthy, those genes are unmasked, and you develop methylation defects and epigenetic changes that excite the production of abnormal genes. So you are the product of what you eat, and your genes are the product of what you eat.
Yes. So, this is wonderful, and I do hope that he's listening right now, and that he's taking notes. And I know that he is. I told him about the end of heart disease, that you wrote the book, and I told him I have a copy of it, and if he wants to borrow it, or if he can just get his own copy, that would be a good start for him. Also,
don't even bother. Let him. The reason I'm not trying to sell more books, but I'm saying when you give a person a book, it goes into their library, and they never read it, because if they really want to read it, they can pay the $20 or whatever it is.
Oh, I see your point. Yeah, yeah.
It demonstrates that whether you're just forcing on people that don't want it, and they're just taking it not to insult you. And also there's no incentive for them to really, so he has to prove that he has the desire. He has to take the initiative himself. If he doesn't take the initiative, you can't force him into it.
Okay. So there is a possibility that in January he's going to be doing a cath. And so in that, the doctor will decide if whether or not he's going to need a stent or bypass surgery. And so my suggestion was you need to change the way you eat dramatically. So the question that is a follow-up is, how quickly can diet and lifestyle change and reverse blockages? Someone with significant family history, CAD, poor eating habits, a calcium CT score of 735 2 years ago, and PVCs.
Well, let me first address the fact that placing stents and bypass surgery does not make people live longer.
Correct.
And there's the matter of fact, most insurance companies won't pay for elective stents anymore because they don't work. They've been proven to show that people don't have fewer heart attacks in their future and do not live longer. It's so they're still allowed to use them when people are in an emergency situation. But this man is not in the emergency room undergoing a heart attack at the moment. Mm-hmm. So when he gets his cardiac catheterization and he gets shunted to put a stent or bypass, that's, a medical scam being perpetrated on him, because it will not help him at all. If he and it's dangerous going for the catheterization. Not only the catheterization is dangerous, but if they're going to see him as a dollar sign, trying to put him along the road for stenting, which doesn't work. And you put a foreign body in the heart now, when he has all those problems, he's going to put another nidus of inflammation, and he's got to be in blood thinners the rest of his life, which can increase his risk of having a hemorrhage. But in any case, it's a whole vicious cycle. He's not going to get better because he's not going to likely do what we want him to do. He's most likely going to follow the instructions of his local doctors and going to push him down the road to further damage and continue to eat unhealthy and continue to stay overweight and continue to put foreign bodies in his heart. And he's unlikely going to move, because most people, their food addiction is just so strong, they would rather die than change their diet. They don't realize the food doesn't taste that good once you're in the coffin.
No, it does not. It does not. I
didn't answer your question. Your question was
how quickly can you reverse?
I went off about the stents how worthless they are and how he's going in the wrong direction.
And once they got you on that table, you're hostage. They're going to make whatever. Fortunately, I understand that his cardiologist is whole food plant-based. So that was a good thing. That's a good thing. But still, he's a doctor who does these procedures.
Well, and if whatever his cardiologist eats isn't relevant unless he can get the patient to eat it. But in any case, the question was, how fast can he get well? And I'm saying that right now he's already at high risk of having a heart attack, and he could die today, tomorrow, or a year from now. We don't know. But the minute he starts eating right, within a few weeks, his risk of having a heart attack goes down by 99%. He can 100 times lower the risk of heart disease just by what he eats every day, and lower his risk by 100-fold just by changing his diet and starting the process of going in the direction of weight loss and flooding his body with nutrients. Even while he's got his present disease, he could start increasing his probability of surviving. So even though the blockage isn't going to melt away right away, but what happens is the inflammation gets better right away. And the inflammation is the primary cause of having a crack or explosion in the heart that can cause a clot to form. And also, immediately as you start losing weight, you start losing some of the soft plaque in the heart, the cholesterol plaque, not the hard scarred tissue invaded by smooth muscle and calcifications. He's not going to decrease all his calcified blockages, but he's going to lose a lot of the soft, high cholesterol dense plaque. That homogeneous plaque is very dangerous. It's called vulnerable plaque because the soft calcified cap that abuts the cholesterol allows the endothelial lining to move and contract and form a nidus where a clot can form, and that clot can propagate and cause a heart attack or a stroke. So the minute you start, what I'm saying right now is that the most dangerous parts of the heart that are most vulnerable to stimulating a heart attack are the parts that get reversed and melted away first. The more stable plaques that have been there for years that don't cause heart attacks are harder to break down. And they take years to break down. You can break them down at somewhere between 5 and 10% per year, breaking down those plaques. But that's okay because those plaques are not going to cause your death. It's the more dangerous plaques that break down more rapidly that are the deadly ones that are active, that diet can address more right away. So yes, he can get dramatic benefits. And we see people all the time. I had a doctor who was had a heart attack, and just like this man, he was undergoing a cath, and they wanted to put angioplasty or bypass. He was a doctor in Nashville, and then his sister, who was a doctor too, called me up and said, "Should he do the stents?" And I said, "No, shoot him out here to my facility in California." And so he came right out. He left the hospital AMA. He's a doctor, and he left the hospital against medical advice.
Wow.
Flew out here, stayed with us for 2 or 3 months, and of course, had chest pain with walking for a block or so. But at the end of even being here a couple of months, he was hiking miles up hills when he went back and had a good, healthy life and has a good, normal life now, and with no heart disease.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So there is hope. And one of the things I always quote is when you said that someone could have 99% blockage, but not be an active heart attack and still be able to reverse heart disease with food and exercise and all that. Did I quote you correctly? Or can you share the reason why you say this, the science behind it?
Yes. Number one, don't forget, once you put a stent in your heart, you can't pull it out.
Correct.
It's a foreign body. It creates chronic inflammation, and it actually increases your risk of having a clot that can form a heart attack. That's why they have to put you on blood thinners now forever, because they just increased your risk of having a future heart attack by putting the stent in. And putting the blood thinner in brings it back, is supposed to bring you back down but in any case, it doesn't, it opens up a blood vessel, allows blood to flow through, but it's opened up with a piece of metal that can cause inflammation and can cause increased risk of clot where the stent ends. But the bottom line here is that when you change your diet, you're taking away what we're saying, the vulnerable plaque, pretty quickly. And we're also building back elasticity. We're taking away inflammation. We're flooding the body with nutrients. Heart disease are not just caused by cholesterol level being high. It's a whole constellation of factors. And you can measure a person's heart attack risk with the inflammatory markers like hsCRP and myeloperoxidase and oxidized LDL. So we're talking here about the diet takes care of all these inflammatory markers and gives this person the potential to get well again. It doesn't matter if they're getting well slowly, at least they're moving in the direction of wellness. Unless they change their diet, they're not going to protect themselves, and putting a stent in makes things worse, not better. It increases their risk in the future, not decreases them. So anything the person can do to be encouraged and motivated to do this, and do it in a way that's radical change in what they're eating.
Even if they have 99% blockage in their artery, you still suggest that they do this with food.
Don't forget, a 99% blockage or even 100% blockage means that blockage was developed over over years. And it's a lot, and that's developed years of blockages. The circulation developed collateral vessels around the blockages. So even if the blockage is blocked, the heart is still didn't have a heart attack. Blockages do not cause heart attacks. What cause heart attacks are clots. The blockages can cause global ischemia and weaken the heart and cause chest pain and lower exercise tolerance and tachycardia and arrhythmias, but they don't really cause heart attacks. And as soon as the person starts eating better, the collateral circulations get better. Even the blockages even the 100% blockages even have been shown to open up. But if they don't, even if he's got a 99% blockage, even if that blockage doesn't change, he has collateral circulation. The blockage is not the cause of the heart attack. The cause of the heart attack is a clot formed in vulnerable tissue, an inflammatory and cholesterol-laden tissue. And when they demonstrate you have this heavy blockage, this obstruction in your heart, that's not a good factor that determines your risk. What determines your risk much better than that is your inflammatory markers and how much vulnerable plaque you have in your heart. The vulnerable plaque doesn't cause blockages. The vulnerable plaque is invisible to cardiac testing. So when you get the catheterization, it's showing the most obstructive plaques, which are older plaques that are not the ones causing heart attacks. It doesn't expose or demonstrate the vulnerable, dangerous plaques, the juvenile plaques, because as the the lumen, these plaques develop outside the lumen and don't obstruct the lumen. And and then they have a thin calcified cap that can crack and cause a clot to form. The cholesterol is very pro-inflammatory. As years go by, these cholesterol buildups become invaded with smooth muscle and scar tissue and calcifications, and they start to obstruct the lumen. But the ones that are obstructing the lumen are not the dangerous plaques.
Okay. I just got a text from him, and he said that he just had a blood draw for an HSCRP test. It's inflammation markers. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's high sensitive CRP.
Is there anything that he should look for?
Well, the oxidized LDL, the HSCRP, and the myeloperoxidase are predictive of a heart attack going to loom in the future if they're elevated. If those things are elevated, they're high risk of having a future heart attack. If the HSCRP and the oxidized LDL are low, then you have less risk of having a heart attack, a future heart attack.
Okay. Is there a particular number though? I mean, you're saying, is there a particular threshold does it say high or low on the test? Is that what it says?
Yeah, it'll say, but it's dose dependent. In other words, the lower the better. 0 point, the lowest the better. And as it goes higher, the risks increase.
Great. So now we have some more questions from the audience. Can you tell me what causes ventricular tachycardia?
Well, ventricular tachycardia is a life-threatening condition. It's caused by the same thing everything else is caused by. Meaning you eat the American diet and you eventually damage all your body. You're exposed. Most people who have heart disease also have cancer cells in their body too. The inflammation that caused their heart to age and deteriorate also caused other cellular problems to develop, and they most likely by this time have breast cancer or prostate cancer. It's just not detectable. You can't detect the breast and prostate cancer because the technology is such that, for example, mammograms can't detect cancer unless it's been there for 10 years. But the newer, you can say, blood biopsy technology can detect the cancers early, a decade earlier than the mammogram can. And as that technology is made widely available, we'll find that most people with cancer have heart disease, and most people with heart disease have cancer. And as they age, and if you live on American food, you develop these diseases because the American diet is a deadly diet. So if you eat like other Americans eat, you get what other Americans get. And if you don't want to have heart disease and strokes and dementia and irregular heartbeats and blockages and inflammation and nerve damage in your heart, and if you don't want to get cancer, then you have to change your diet.
That's it. I think it's simple. I mean, it's amazing. When people start eating well, it's amazing all these diseases, all this medication that they get off of because they don't need it anymore. They're using these drugs. Remember that question I proposed? It was a while ago that we did a class together, and I said, you know what, Dr. Fuhrman, what if there wasn't a pill that would help whatever condition they have? And so we did a show on that, basically saying, that the pill gives them permission to continue eating the way they're doing. You want to elaborate on that?
They think their blood pressure is okay because when they take it, it's normal because they're taking medications for the blood pressure.
Correct.
Right. So that's not normal. If you're taking, as a matter of fact, your risk of having a heart attack is proportional to the number of medications you need to keep the blood pressure normal. If you want to be protected against a heart disease, you have to have a normal blood pressure without medication, not have medications bring it down. So they're just it's like pushing the dirt under the rug so you don't see it. And it just more enables the food addict to continue their addictive food behaviors. Yes, and of course, I'm saying here that white flour, like bread and bagels and pizza and hamburger rolls and are not food. Those are not food. Those are drugs. And they're dangerous, addictive drugs like smoking cigarettes or drinking alcohol or snorting cocaine. And most people are in denial that alcohol is carcinogenic and causes cancer as well. Most people aren't even aware that alcohol is carcinogenic, But in any case, people go on and live their lives and just oblivious to the fact that they have self-destructive habits that they're addicted to, and they don't want to look at considering changing those habits. So eventually they have to have happen to them what happens to other Americans. They get cancers and heart attacks and things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I have a question here. I want to give up gluten. Any tips on how to deal with the withdrawals and symptoms? I didn't know that there would be a withdrawal for changing to non-gluten products.
There's no withdrawal from changing to non-gluten products.
No, it's
Why
just,
does this person,
I think it's a mental thing. We think that people, I mean, I've been gluten-free since 1998 when they start, became allergic to gluten, and that was after they started altering gluten with pesticides and glyphosates, and I didn't develop withdrawal. What I did was I had to learn how to eat all over again and change the what I called, food.
right? People get withdrawal symptoms when they cut the salt and sugar and fats out of our diet. Don't forget, most Americans get all their fat in their diet from animal fats and oils. They don't get all their fats from nuts and seeds. So their source of fat creates chronic inflammation. The oils and animal products, because they're so rapidly absorbed in the bloodstream, and they create a high level, they're a high omega-6 containing fats. So the body fat and the high exposure to animal fats and omega-6 oils creates a lot of chronic inflammation in the body. What I'm saying right now is people start dropping weight and eating healthier. They start to feel fatigue and get some withdrawal symptoms that last a few days, but it's not to do with stopping gluten. It's not, stopping gluten is not sufficient to detoxify the body. And there's no reason for a person to stop gluten anyway, unless they're gluten sensitive.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so my husband has 2 stents put in 4 years ago. He follows your diet and has improved greatly. How to mitigate the danger of the actual stent lodged in his body?
By eating perfectly well, and we can't take him off the baby aspirin, the blood thinning medications, because we have no studies to document that a nutritarian diet without the aspirin would be just as protective as the nutritarian diet with the aspirin. Because I can't produce any long-term data on people with stents following a nutritarian diet, then I can't be certain to advise them to stop their baby aspirin again. If I did that and somebody had a heart attack, I could be blamed for giving them wrong advice, but it may not be wrong advice. It may lower their risk of future deaths by stopping the aspirin once you're on this diet, but I just don't know. And I can't advise that. I can't, tell them to stop something that seems to protect people with stents long-term who eat standard diets. Because people are told they have to stay on Plavix for a year or two and the baby aspirin, but after the first year, they can stop the Plavix and just be on the aspirin. Then they have to stay on the aspirin the rest of their life with the stent. So the question is, once they're eating this healthy, could they stop the aspirin too? And that question I'm hesitant to answer because I don't know for sure.
What about natural vitamin E as a blood thinner?
Well, vitamin E has been shown to increase the risk of cancer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I wouldn't.
Natural vitamin E, not the synthetic stuff, the natural vitamin E?
Yeah. Don't forget, when you get natural vitamin E from eating nuts and seeds and green vegetables, you get many different types of vitamin E fragments that work synergistically, different types of vitamin E.
Okay.
When you take some vitamin E made from a vitamin company, then you're going to take one fragment or maybe even 2. It's not going to duplicate the vitamin E that's in natural foods. It's best to get your natural foods by getting your fats from nuts and seeds, which are high in vitamin E. And the additional vitamin E you're going to take that would be sufficient concentration to thin the blood would not be, in my viewpoint, wise for other reasons.
Yeah. Okay.
And then if you're going to take a natural blood thinner like natto or other types of, versus the aspirin, and the question is, there's not enough studies to know how to advise a person in a situation. And as a physician, you can't advise them unless you have a higher degree of certainty to know. So I just don't know,
Well, we all know, and for those of you who are watching today, that Dr. Fuhrman is not giving you any advice. He's just sharing information. And then it's up to you to decide and be responsible to make decisions for your life. So
I am giving advice, but
no. No, I'm just saying that you're not acting like your doctor.
But I'm not making a medical relationship with a person.
Correct.
So it's educational advice that they could learn. It's their job to.
Exactly. It's up to them to take it and run. Okay, before we shift gears, because I want to do our traditional Dr. Fuhrman's top whatever for 2022. I want to just ask people, for those of you, that the algorithms are such in social media that this information is being suppressed. So the 99%, those of you who are watching today and later on, make sure you like it, you share this class, and you let them know that we are beyond the algorithms. We are stronger than the algorithms. So make sure this information gets out. Go to whenyouneedafriend.com. While there, please subscribe, like, and follow me on all social media. Check out my sponsors. Check out the workshops that we're doing that are life-changing. Just recently, Dr. Fuhrman came to speak to our M Cube detox experience to teach people how to, once you're done with a detox, what's next? So how to continue living a life that's healthy and one that will support your body to 120 and beyond. So I'm excited that Dr. Fuhrman was part of the M Cube detox experience. I want to encourage you all to also go to the Shop Now bag, where you can look at Lilly approved products and also you can become, and that's a way that you can support the classroom as well. And you can support the classroom by becoming an enrolled student in the classroom. You can donate $1 or $1,000 a month, or a one-time donation. It doesn't matter what it is. It will help the classroom, whether it's your talent, your time, your treasure. Please consider helping and partnering with us so that the classroom can continue to grow and flourish. Today, we have Dr. Joel Fuhrman in the classroom. I absolutely love how simple things are with the G-bombs. I mentioned G-bombs, and we're not going to be talking about this. You could go to my playlist with Dr. Fuhrman, where we talk about G-bombs all the time: greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds that you can incorporate into your life that will help you live a Nutritarian lifestyle. We've called it a diet several times, but really this is a lifestyle change. This isn't a diet. This is a lifestyle change that I hope that you will embrace and love your body with as well. And so today we have Dr. Joel Fuhrman. You mentioned the Eat to Live Retreat Center, that I hope that if you guys decide that you want to go to the Eat to Live Retreat Center, just let them know that Lily sent you. Let them know that you learned it about them through the Lillian McDermott radio show. Also, you're doing your new detox. Share a little bit about your challenge that you're going to be doing in January, Dr. Fuhrman.
It starts January 3rd. I think for the last few years, every January, we've done a detox weight loss challenge where people can join for 20 days. And they tell them, don't think about what to eat and what you should eat. Just let's work with me and I'll tell you exactly what to do. And you'll lose 20 pounds in 20 days was the main focus. And make them feel that they can do this. It's going to taste delicious. We're going to give them the recipes, but we're going to give them instruction every day along the way. Motivational lectures, videos, Q&A with me, and all the changing the way they look about food and the way they think about eating food to make them really be able to enjoy eating this way. And then we follow it up with a 6-month challenge where they're tracking their BMI going down to lose 5 BMI points within 6 months to go for the prizes. So we start with the 20 days and then continue for free for the 6 months if you could. We want people to, because obviously we're teaching people there's no benefit to losing weight after the holidays. You're going to gain it back again. Obviously is to lose weight, keep it off, and keep losing. And that's the whole goal of this, to get people that are, especially the people that are on the fence, to get them enlisted and get them really learning a lot of information that's going to keep them on track. And of course, this is what we do at our Eat to Live retreat here. We keep people for a few months here usually till we make sure they can replicate this when they go home and really enjoy doing it. And by the way, I'm claiming that my experience and science says that most people, vast majority of people can live between 97 and 107. I'm not claiming they can live to be 120, but I'm saying most people between 97 and 107 on the bell-shaped curve, around 100 years old, or a little over 100, is not impossible, and it's very practical. And we're saying that when you eat American food, it's a wide genetic spread where people can die at 60 or live to be 95 or something, but it's a big crapshoot. But when you eat healthy, genetics play less and less of a role. It narrows the shape of the bell, and people have that 10-year window, usually between 97 and 107.
So I want to ask you a question. A man who is 5'7", 5'8", how much should they weigh? Is there like a formula?
Well, yes, a male should have a BMI for optimal health below 22 and a female below 21. So that's the BMI formula. And then we want that corresponding body fat, female body fat below 25%, male body fat below 15%. But for ideal cardiac reversal, you probably even want the body fat for male below 15%, more like 13%. So it might be even though I'm saying a body fat for female should be below 25%, it may be ideal for a woman's body fat to be closer to 22.5% and a male's body fat to be closer to 12.5%. So it's hard to know because BMI is not as accurate as body fat because it can have a person more muscular, bigger bones, but still under 22 BMI. So this male who's 5'7", 5'8", should probably weigh around 140, but not more than 160. I mean, I'm 5'9", and I weigh 145 pounds. You know what I mean? So,
And you look very healthy. You look,
and
and you
certainly
muscle,
my,
you're built
yeah,
with lots of muscle and
I'm
yeah.
lean and muscular at this body weight. And as I'm getting older now, and I just had a recent birthday.
That's
was-
right. Happy birthday, November 2nd. Was it November 2nd or 3rd?
December 2nd.
I'm sorry, December 2nd. Yeah.
I was just 69. Can you believe I'm going to be 70 years old next year?
Can you believe I'm going to be 60 years old next year? So it's
Kidding
like,
me.
we're both. What?
Well, you look like you're 30,
Oh, you're so
and
sweet.
I think I look like I'm 50.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Not
are you gonna
70, no.
are you gonna flash us your abs? Are you gonna show us your abs? You won't
Not
dance
this-
with me, but you will flash us your abs.
Right.
Okay, so let's shift gears because this class is really truly about it's a lighter, but because health is urgent. We put if we were to put sand in our gas tank and our car wouldn't start, nobody would be shocked. But we eat the standard American diet, we abuse our body, and then when something happens, then we're all shocked and we blame it on the DNA. So I hope that this first part of the class has helped people to understand that life is urgent, life is fragile. Anything you'd like to add to that, Dr. Fuhrman?
No, that's good. I wanted to add that as I've gotten older too, I'm doing more gardening. I've always gardened somewhat, but now gardening, and also gardening is linked to longer lifespan.
Mm-hmm.
Being out there with the dirt and growing your own food. And I'm a tremendous advocate of growing bok choy, and particularly the purple bok choy and purple pak choy. And the stuff is so incredible. It doesn't get bugs or aphids or worms. And so making compost, and I just wanted to mention that this is called regenerative organic agriculture. The health of the food and the health of you depend on the health of the soil you're growing the food in. And you can't, and there's very few places that are making great soil to make great healthy food. So making a little garden where you're making some of your own food is so helpful if people can do that. And if you have an apartment, you can get a grow box, so you can still grow sprouts and microgreens. But I have compost piles that I have little bins, I have 3 different compost bins in different stages of development. I make my own fertilizer, make my own soil. I buy this brand of bacteria that helps the compost decompose rapidly. So it's a mixture of like ground up weeds and like wood chips, but and food scraps from the kitchen, and I'll take a little bit of a little horse manure sometimes from the neighbor, but whatever it is, I'll mix whatever I want in the compost, and I'll put this green pig compost accelerator. It's a bacteria you buy in a little packet, and you put it in the watering can, and it dissolves in the watering can, and you sprinkle it on your compost. It's called Green Pig Compost Accelerator. It costs about $10.
Is this part of your favorites for 2022?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Green Pig Compost?
Green Pig Compost Accelerator. So first, you put the compost accelerator on the big pile of waste that you mix up really well. And I also have a compost thermometer, which is a 2-foot-long thermometer that you stick into the compost pile, because you don't want to put worms in there when the compost is too hot. It'll kill the worms. So the compost may be running between 100 and 130 degrees after you put the compost accelerator and you piled it up, then mixed it up well. And sometimes I'll cover it with a black tarp to keep the heat in, to want it to be as hot as possible for the compost to compose faster and the bacteria to do its work on the moist compost with no worms. But then after about 6 weeks, it decomposed, or 8 weeks, you see the temperature starts to come down. And once the temperature of the compost is below 90 degrees, I mix it up again, water it down, and then I put the worms in the compost. And I buy these red wigglers. The worms that compose the compost rapidly are called the red wigglers, which then they'll turn the residual compost into fine worm castings and great soil. And then I use that to plant my vegetables in, to till. And I don't till the soil. You don't want to kill the bacteria, the fungi, the worms, the insects. We just keep piling the good stuff on top of the old stuff. But I do dig out around the trees and like a donut around my trees, because we have very bad clay soil here. So I'll dig like a big donut trench around like 2 feet deep, and I'll fill around the trees so the roots can grow out and grow into this mixture of compost. And as the tree gets bigger, I'll sometimes enlarge the trench a little bit. So I'll have a bigger room for the tree roots to grow my fruit. So I love growing fruit trees, and people you're in Florida, you can grow, and fig trees are incredible, easy to grow too. But kumquat trees and fig trees and persimmons are fun to grow, and apricots. But anyway, so we're talking here about getting out there in the soil, because also even walking on the beach or even going in the sand or even going barefoot or just putting your hands in soil, being in contact with the earth has emotional benefits. There's electron transfer, but there's also emotional benefits. And this has to do with our relationship with nature. And we're trying to get people passionate about their relationship with nature, appreciation of the natural world, appreciation of the beauty of natural foods, the wonder of what's in foods grown in rich soils. And of course, to use that to protect the earth and the planet, because obviously not just eating meat, but eating processed foods and fast foods are tremendously draining on and destroying our environment. And overeating and being obese means that people are maintaining a caloric load that is unfavorable to their environment as well, because we can't consume this much calories from the earth and not destroy the planet in the process. But so when you take care of your health and eat right, you are taking care of your health, and you're being more giving and more considerate of the rest of the generations to follow. When you are eating to destroy your own health, you're more narcissistically destructive of the planet and going to accelerate the death or starvation and make the world uninhabitable for our children and grandchildren and future generations. So we're destroying our soils, we're raping the earth, we're polluting it, we're chemicalizing it, and then we're having with all the animal, and then we're producing, and then when you're overeating, you're producing more CO2. You're like a cow who produces methane. Humans also produce too much CO2 because they overeat and eat too much meat, but then we're destroying we're raising feed, and we're destroying the trees and the carbon dioxide the oxygen producing plants of the earth. We're taking down the forests. So we really have to have a radical change in the way people eat and the way they think. And we have to be more, and we have to develop, people have to be passionate about this. They should be passionate about the way they eat. Everything they eat should be in their own self-interest. They shouldn't be being self-destructive with food. And they should be passionate about spreading the word so we can save the world for future generations, because when we're gone, tremendous suffering is going to occur. And right now we just have horrible things happening. And humans have gone in the wrong direction, and they become more narcissistic, more contemptuous, angered, violent, and self-destructive. And part of this angry, self-destructive human condition is based on improper nutrition for the brain. And living on that, when they start to feed their brain with the right type of nutrients, it makes people more peaceful, less easily angered, more compassionate and thoughtful for others, and being able to be more at peace. So I think that it's all this is intertwined.
So what I'm hearing you say is that part of this year, 2022, you've become even more connected to the earth. And one of your top things for 2022 has been cultivating the soil and creating even better foods that can enhance your body. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And feeling as I'm getting older and working less, I spend more time outside working in the garden, like people should be doing. And that in the 1940s, around World War II, do you know that more than 45% of the American calories consumed were what people grew in their own homes, called victory gardens. So we can now we don't produce 5% of the nation's caloric intake is grown in people's gardens. People took away their lawns, they grew their own vegetables. We need to plant trees and plant vegetable gardens if we're going to save the planet and save the healthcare system. People have to start growing their own food and making their houses, the little bit of land they have around their homes, be improving the soil, saving compost. They have to work on this in their little spare time to make better food for themselves. And then support organic agriculture, obviously, and get in the local farms as well.
Yes. Okay. So anything else that you feel that in 2022 has been like your top go-to?
Well, 1 out of 5 Americans are depressed. Or, so I think that in 2022, I've learned a lot more. I've used the power plate for exercise to, so I'm skiing really better and my legs are in great shape because the power plate accelerates and you know how we work on, we're doing physical fitness. That stuff I'm doing more. But also the combination. So on my website, I have like this combination of mood balance biotech, which mixes saffron and 5-HTP and, and other types of natural amino acid and herbal things to help depression. There's more realizing how much serotonin uptake inhibitors, SSRIs and SSNRIs are so bad for people.
Mhm.
And people become, drug resistant. Starting people on drugs with depression, anxiety is so detrimental to them. So taking a mixture of these natural herbs and amino acids is so much safer for people. And there's other avenues to get well, like McDermott, which is the new technology with magnetic treatment. They do EEGs of people's brains and find out where the brain is off. Instead of just giving magnetic therapy, they actually can use the magnetic therapy in the amount and space, and they can hit the brain to try to see where your brain is abnormal and try to repair it back to normal again with low dose magnetic stimulation. And you do this in combination with, of course, I'm saying this, of course, in context with people changing their diet, fixing their omega-3 index, and eating healthy foods, getting people back to good mental clarity. Because I'm saying today that this abnormal diet, poor health of the brain, has led to an explosion where it used to be 1 in 500 Americans used to be mentally ill. Now it's 1 in 5 Americans are mentally ill. And the food is destroying not just our body, but our brains too. And we can get people through good nutrition, the right supplements, and sometimes some extra things that might be helpful that are not the traditional drug approach can get people back to feeling good again and not be hooked on medications the rest of their life.
Let's just take a medication out of the air. A lot of Americans are in statins, and there's a class action lawsuit of people that are losing their memories, or it's causing dementia or dementia-like symptoms. What do you say for people that are taking statins and that's the drug that they take? Maybe it's the only drug they take. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, what I am saying is that we have the same amount of people dying of heart attacks and the same amount of people dying at the same age. As a matter of fact, the average lifespan of Americans has got lower as people's waistlines have gone higher over the last 2 decades. So in spite of taking statins, we're not seeing a major reduction or increase in lifespan in Americans. The opportunity to extend their life has to do with changing their diet, not taking drugs. And statins make you gain weight, make it harder to lose weight, and make you more insulin resistant, and make you more diabetic or pre-diabetic. So they have some benefits, but they have a lot of negatives that almost minimizes their effect, because the negatives balance the positives, and it's almost having no effect on people's lifespan. So it's another way people can do something that makes the numbers look better, but now they can think they continue to eat poorly. And it just reinforces their bad eating behavior, and which they're eating a pro-inflammatory diet. So drugs, if we never had these drugs, doctors would have to make people change their diet, lose weight, eat healthily. Now that people just can eat the same diet and have the cholesterol look good, have the blood pressure look good, and they think they're okay, and they're not. It's just, it's sad. You can't escape from the biological cause and effect. You are what you eat, and you can't change your biology by taking drugs.
Dr. Fuhrman, it's been since 2015 since you've been coming in the classroom, and I will say that you retiring and not retiring, but it's almost retired, and changing your focus has made you more in tune with your emotions, more in tune with the earth. And this show of 20, the best must-haves is totally different than in the past. So for those of you who want to see some of his past shows, I really like the Dr. Fuhrman you're becoming. You are more in tune with your body and the earth, and I think it's just making you an even better doctor and person that people trust to go to you at your clinic, at the Eat to Live clinic in California, which is beautiful. I've been there, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So I just want to say I see you, and I like who you're becoming.
Thank you. I can even make believe I'm a doctor for Halloween.
What did you give everybody for Halloween? That's funny. We only have about a minute left. If somebody were to walk in right now, what's your word of advice for 2023?
Make every meal and every mouthful count. Don't behave in self-destructive behaviors. There's no reason to. It doesn't make you happier. It doesn't give you more pleasure in living. It gives you less pleasure. The instantaneous pleasure you get for a minute results in hours and days of misery. You're not improving the quality of your life by recreating with dangerous food.
Well said. Dr. Fuhrman, I am so grateful. For those of you who would like to join the challenge, you can go to drfuhrman.com. I normally have a link, but I don't have a link for this one. Maybe I'll get it by the end of the week, but I will certainly
get it by the
try.
end of today.
Get it at the end of today? Okay, I'll get it by the end of today.
Get it today for sure.
Yeah, okay, I will do that. And so please remember that, just the holidays are a celebration. Celebrate responsibly. Thank you, Dr. Fuhrman, for the reminder that life is fragile. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. Joel Fuhrman, wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Are we going to see your muscles or your abs today?
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
What did you say?
When I'm 70, next year when I'm 70, I'll take my shirt off.
Okay. So December 2nd. I had you on my calendar. I don't know if I texted you or not, but I saw
at the age of 70, that's the good. I could show the goods.
Yes. We'll show the goods. Well, you showed the goods before too. But anyway, I just want to thank you for coming on. Happy holidays, Dr. Fuhrman. Happy holidays to all of you. We are going to continue our conversation next week. And so we'll see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye.